Hello, thanks for being in a new video. On this occasion, I have in my hands the box of the Honor Magic V2 or UV2 or V2nd, whatever you want to call it. The truth is that there are several ways in which we could pronounce it, but in general and simple terms, we are in front of the most recent foldable Honor. Let's take a very quick look at it to see what are its main highlights, and what do you think if we start? Well, here we have the box. A box very similar to the last generation, which, by the way, is great, although in this case we are not yet talking about the exact edition that will be distributed globally, so you always have to make that clarification. Like all foldable, at least all the ones I've seen so far, comes in the box unfolded, and let's take an initial look. Because one of the strongest points of this foldable, without a doubt, is its thickness and weight. Really, just by holding it, I was quite surprised about this specific section. In truth, it looks like a traditional smartphone. It doesn't feel so much like a foldable because of the weight and because of how thin it is. We're 9.9 millimeters thick when the device is folded. That's a little too attractive because even in the traditional non-folding smartphone market, there are cell phones that are thicker than this device. So with that, it's actually quite surprising. And when you unfold it, it's very thin at only 4.9 millimeters thick, so this is really, really amazing. Right now you're seeing some comparisons against first the last generation, which was already very thin. But this generation has been refined even more. So the hinge is very tiny, the device is very compact and very light. And now you're looking at the comparison against Samsung's most recent foldable, which, although it already had improvements with respect to this section of the thickness, well, it definitely falls very short compared to the thickness that we have in this Honor device. Of course, you'll have to see what you're going to give your priority to. It seems that the biggest and strongest flag of this Honor device will undoubtedly be the thickness. Although, on the other hand, it must also be said, the Samsung foldable has water resistance, but there you will have to decide what you are going to prefer, because definitely that this one is very, very, very light and comfortable in the hand. Now, with regards to the hinge, you'll notice that already from the last generation we didn't have any kind of gap. And Honor continues to maintain that quite well. It's a hinge that gives us also a pretty precise fit. I wouldn't say 100%, but it's very, very, very good hinge, really. Only the last part maybe is the one that feels like it's not able to stay at the exact angle anymore, but it's actually very good, especially compared to other hinges that we've seen on foldable devices. Now we have a finish on the back also quite attractive in this color, because there are two colors that we have available here to give you a look at. One which is in a purple edition with a finish that reflects light, but doesn't reflect the image, as I always tell you. And the other one which is a leather-like finish. It looks very nice and feels great in the hand. We will have to wait to see which versions are presented globally. But at least here too it feels like a high-end device. It feels good in the hand with very good materials. And one thing I was missing is the weight of this device, which is 235 grams. This is obviously achieved by being such a slim device. It definitely does feel light. And again, it's lighter than other non-foldable devices that are on the market. A clear example that has been said a lot is that the iPhone 14 Pro Max weighs more of what this device weighs. So it's definitely very, very good. So we've got the scale, and we're going to weigh this, which is an iPhone 14 Pro Max. Let's see, it's got a mica on it. The official figure is 240 grams. Because of the tempered glass, it could have this variance. But it definitely weighs more than the Honor foldable weighs. Let's see now how much the foldable weighs, and here we put it. We have 235 grams. It definitely draws too much attention that despite being foldable, because it ends up being lighter in weight than the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And now look, this is Samsung's foldable. Let's put it over here. 255 grams or so. Again, it's heavier than the Honor foldable, confirming that this is going to be like their flagship and their strongest point. Now we are in front of, as I tell you, a device that we can't explore that much yet because it doesn't have the final software yet. And I think that will be one of the key points to know if this device is going to draw even more attention. To see if Honor manages to take even more advantage of this issue of leaving the device semi-folded, to see how well the software is optimized. At the moment, we can't explore much of that yet, and another issue that remains possibly for a next generation is wireless charging, which this generation still doesn't even incorporate reversible wireless charging, which are two aspects that, for example, Samsung's foldable and the iPhone 14 Pro Max do have. So, those specific aspects, if you want them, you're not going to find them here yet. But it definitely may be a sacrifice in exchange for making the device so thin, or maybe they're saving it for the next version of this foldable. But for the moment, it's really, really cool. Especially, all these benefits of foldables. Seeing the content in a much larger size, or arranging it and it can function as if it's the same tripod without you needing additional tools and all the things that we've already seen as well. So I think that's it for this initial overview. Remember that we're going to have a much more in-depth analysis later on. Remember that very soon it's going to be unveiled. Honor has already made it official that this device is going to open IFA in Berlin on the 1st of September. So let's keep an eye on everything Honor has to present that day, and I'll be telling you about it. For now, that's it for this video. If you liked it, you know you can tell us about it, and I'll see you next time.